Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you for a quick, I guess, TV show review for Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 1, the whole 20 episode show. So here's the back of it and the inside slip too, as well. So I'm going to discuss what I watched for all 20 episodes and let you know my thoughts on this whole season as a whole. So let's dive into this Avatar: The Last Airbender, the 2006 animated show review. Now, pretty much, it stars a boy named Aang, and what he has to do is master all the elements before summer's end, before the Sozin's Comet arrives again by the end of the summer. And pretty much he already mastered air, and he's in the process of mastering water at the end of the season. So, in the midst of it. But pretty much the whole season is basically the journey that was the best part of the story. And this had a lot of interesting episodes, like The Boy in the Iceberg. The second episode was pretty good. The third episode was about the Southern Air Temple. And I think the second episode was The Avatar Returns. Um, the fourth episode was about Warriors of Kyoshi, where they met the Kyoshi warriors. Um, so pretty much Suki and the other Kyoshi warriors, and Sokka kind of fell for Suki in a way. So pretty much, I think there was a lot more that they explained than the fucking Last Airbender movie, which was not very good, by the way. So episode 5 was basically, think about Omashu, I believe, the king of Omashu. Excuse my coughing for a second. And pretty much the sixth episode was Imprisoned, which was a strong episode. And you have the Winter Solstice, part 1 and part 2 for 7 and 8, which it shows about the spirit Heibai. And those episodes were really good. The second part was about going to a certain Crescent Island where he can speak to Roku, but it's in the Fire Nation. Aang has to, and that's where he finds out he has to master all the elements before Sozin's Comet arrives and before the end of the summer. So pretty much, yeah. The ninth episode was about pirates or whatever, and the waterbending scroll, I think it was the episode's name. The 10th one was about Jet, who was a freedom fighter and basically wasn't pretty much a nice guy at first, but you do see a lot more of him in the second season. I will tell you that in certain episodes. A lot more of Jet. But that is to be concluded when I do season 2 later on. But pretty much, episode 11 was the Great Divide, where they have to pass a valley called the Great Divide and be with these two tribal people, um, and they gotta get these groups of people across safely before the canyon crawlers decide to eat them alive and steal their food, and basically eat them alive. So that episode was pretty good too. Um, Pretty much, the storm was one where it shows about him, Aang, running away from the Southern Air Temple, and then that's where he disappeared for 100 years. And it tells his backstory about that because he's having nightmares about it. So the 13th episode was the Blue Spirit, and that was a pretty interesting one. Um, so it's basically Zuko is the Blue Spirit. If you've seen the show, you kind of get the gist of what happens in the animated series, which is the best animated series I've seen in the late 2000s. So, like mid to late 2000s. The 14th episode, I believe, was about a fortune teller. Um, So that happened, and then Aang and them have to save their village from a volcano erupting and trying to destroy their home, which it did happen, but basically they did save it. So the 15th episode was pretty much Bato from the Water tribe, and they meet the character Bato, one of the Southern Water Tribe guys or whatever that went off to war to fight the Fire Nation. And like I said, the whole premise of the story is the Fire Nation turned on their whole nation of the air, like the airbenders, the earthbenders, the waterbenders. So they kind of split their nation trying to conquer the whole world and take them all out, basically. So the war is with the Fire Nation against all three of the other nations, trying to defeat them at least and stop their madness. So pretty much it's under the rule of Fire Lord Ozai, and that's the interesting part because it gets more explained as the story goes on, and that's what I really appreciate, a good story from the show. But yeah, Bato from the Water Tribe was an interesting episode. Then you have the Deserter, and that was the 16th episode. That was a pretty good one about John, the Deserter, who was a general or whatever in the Fire Nation but left. And he teaches Aang air fire bending, but then Aang kind of hurts Katara with fire, and pretty much he says he's never going to firebend again. So the 17th episode was the Northern Air Temple. I meant to say, I already said the Southern Air Temple earlier in the review. So pretty much that was a good episode. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was good in its own way. And then you get the Waterbending Master and the Siege of the North parts 1 and 2 as the last 3 episodes, and they were pretty strong episodes to end the season. So pretty much overall, I really enjoyed season 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender, one of my favorite animated shows from Nickelodeon, which that was probably the best thing about Nickelodeon that they offered. They did have good animated shows from certain ones. This one, however, was probably my favorite, personally. So if I were to give the season an overall score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's a pretty strong season. Highly recommend you check Avatar The Last Airbender, Book 1. And I actually got it for a cheap price for the show, because it's pretty cheap now, honestly, if you buy it online. It's like 10 something dollars or whatever. So it's not too bad of a price. It's pretty fair. But overall, 9 out of 10 for Avatar The Last Airbender, the complete Book 1 collection. Hopefully you enjoyed Book 1 Water for this review, this TV show review. And I will do Book 2 Earth at a later time once I finish that whole season. But until then, thanks for watching this TV show review.